everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is going to be Hangout number 79. Hold on a second. Sorry, I had another one of my wonderful beginnings where everything went wrong. But I'm here, and you're here, and let me see who's in the chat room. Lots of people, and I have. Let me say I've got lots to talk about today. I'm going to be talking about good old Fia and Julia and the Maddie thing, and the video I put out and the copyright theft of that video. And I want to talk about that because it is a crime. And I'm also going to be talking about the Matamoros kidnapping and murders of the two Americans were murdered, 4 survived down in Mexico. It's a really interesting case. I'm also going to be talking later about 4 women who were all involved in different countries, Denmark, UK, and the US, murdering or attempting to murder patients and they're under their care in hospitals or care centers. And then a bunch of other things as well. I want to talk about the Murdoch jury decision because someone asked me a question about that, kind of saying, hey, you were wrong. And I'm going to comment on that. And just a few other things. Okay, so let me say hello to everybody who's here. Oh, goodness. Hello, Benny is here. And yes, I'm doing your thing, Benny, because I like your information about the Danish female, what I call serial killer. Aunt Deanie's here. Allison is here. Lisa S is here. Ali is here. Or Ali. I don't know which way you go with that. Ali or Ali? Have to let me know. Did I say Florence and Sarah? And you love you love my brain. Well, thank you. What's left of it? Thank you, Sarah. Pat makes it make sense. Well, that is one of the reasons I do this channel, because I want people to understand things. And you don't always have to agree with me, but at least you can see the way I've thought through it and see whether that has a benefit or whether you think it should be some other way. Lila's here. Annie is here. Molly's here. Sky Ricky's here. Let's see. Who else is here? Midgie is here. VLW is here. Milena is here. Sally's here. Mary is here. I'm coming down. Scarlett's here. Strega's here. And I might have missed somebody, and I do apologize if I did. But I'm sure there'll be also more people coming in. Now, before I go on to the show, I want to say this. Now, this is the 25th. Sorry, the 25th. No, it isn't. It's the 2nd anniversary of Profiling with Pat Brown. And what I meant to say with 25 is almost have 25,000 subscribers now. And between the patrons here who have been wonderful to support the channel and the subscribers and some people who just hit that $sign and give a one-time donation, kept the channel alive. Believe you, I mean, an educational channel, you fight to stay alive. And be able to do this. And so now it's the 2nd anniversary. So I'm still here. So you all have made it worthwhile, because if it wasn't worthwhile, I would have quit. I got other things I can do. But I enjoy this, and I enjoy putting out the content, and I have lots of plans for the future. And having said that, I also would let you know I have a very tiny gift. It's a tiny gift. It's not a huge gift or anything, but I have put 4 of my books for free over at Amazon. Let me explain to you what they are. They're going to be going free at March 9th at 3 a.m. So anybody here will have to wait probably till tomorrow morning to grab one. But if you're coming here after I make this show public, then they're already be available. So they're going to be up there for 5 days from March 9th to March 13th. And these are 4 self-published books. They're not expensive books to begin with, but now they're free. I can't put my other books up for free because those are publishers control those. These are the ones I self-pub, so I control them. So I have Only the Truth. That's a psychological mystery story people really love. And so just have a good read. Get that one. 10 missing, murdered, and children's cases that have nothing to do with Madeleine McCann. And I said that with a kind of a chuckle. And some people who don't get it actually go to read that book and got really mad at me and gave me a 1-star review and go, every chapter she talks about Madeleine McCann. That's the point. That no matter what, it turns out to be about Madeleine McCann. But I do talk about the other cases and then how they and how much publicity they get in comparison to Madeleine McCann. The third one is Me, Abe, and Greyhound You. It's just a short story about a guy on a bus with an iguana, and you can read that short story and decide how much is my real life. And at the end, I tell you how much is like my real life. Because yes, I was on a Greyhound bus, and I was on a Greyhound bus with an iguana. And the last one is The Truth About Book Publishing and Book Publicity. And I put that up there also for free because I know some people are aspiring writers, and they get robbed by a lot of people who claim they're publicists, and like Fia. Fia might be your publicist, and they take your money and you don't get anything for it. So that's what's happening. So go get the books. They're free for 5 days. And that's just a little thank you because, hey, you deserve something for helping me out. So anyway, now let's get on to the topics. Oh, yeah, they're all on Amazon. That's the only place I can self-pub and give away a free book once in a while. And you can also just go to Amazon tomorrow. And if you're here publicly later, you can just go right away. And you can see which ones are free. But there's the 4 of them. And I'll have that linked below. So, hey, Kelly, you're here now, and Sandra's here too. All right. So now, and if you would like to be in the chat room at the Hangouts and also the live show I do on a case every week, please do click the link below, join Patreon, and there you are. You can join us live. And that's fun. And also, please do like and subscribe because that also supports the channel and the algorithms. So now let me get to a couple of things. All right. Let me see which one I want to start out with first. Let me just, I just want to mention just in the beginning, this thing with the Murdoch thing. So he's found guilty, which I was thrilled about, mind you. I wasn't objecting to him being found guilty. I'm thrilled he is. Wait a minute, hold on. Is this the right one? Yes. So after he's found guilty, a lot of people said, well, Pat, you thought it was going to be a hung jury. Okay, I did. Because I felt like since there wasn't physical evidence that he committed the crime, that there was no DNA to connect to him, and they couldn't prove he had the gun. The video was damning. That helped having him there just right before it happened. That's what I think got him. And the fact nobody liked him. But I thought they might not be willing to go ahead because of the lack of physical evidence. So this guy writes me, hi, Pat. Oh, maybe it's not a guy. Hi, Jan. It's not a guy. Sorry, Jan. Hi, Pat. Are you going to comment on the jury finding this man guilty? I think the jury members showed their intelligence. And I understand that. She's looking at this going, you didn't think these guys, I don't think Jen's trying to trash me or anything. I just think she's pointing this out. You didn't think they were going to be smart enough to figure it out. But they did. 12 of them in 3 hours decided he was guilty. Here's my answer. We got lucky. It is always a roll of the dice. A different day, a different 12, and he would have been found not guilty. The woman that was tossed by the judge supposedly leaned that way. And if she had stayed, it would have been a hung jury. I think they found him guilty because they didn't like him, and the video helped. I have nothing against the jury, just the system. Justice shouldn't come down to the luck of the draw. And every prosecutor and defense attorney will tell you it's a roll of the dice, what 12 people you get. And depending on those 12 people, you only need one to screw it all up. This jury would find him guilty. This jury would find him not guilty. This jury would find him not guilty. This jury would just hang. So what kind of justice system is it if it's that questionable that the prosecution's case and the defense case are going to be analyzed in the same way with every group? In other words, if it's done properly, then whoever is analyzing it should come up with the same answer. But if they all come up with different answers to the same thing, one has to wonder if that's justice or just a roll of the dice. And personally, if I were on trial, I don't want a roll of the dice being somebody, that's the decision. The 12 people I call off a bus stop, they could be 12, that could be the right 12 people, could be the wrong 12 people. And I don't know, it makes me very uncomfortable to think that that's how fragile it is that you get a jury that comes up with a reasonable determination. And I know people don't trust the concept of professional juries. And would they have problems too? Yes, but I think the problems will be 1/10 of what we've got now. And I think we would save a ton of money. The dog and pony shows would end because it would be more of a somber, just, proper experience instead of a big show before the cameras and a whole bunch of people don't know what they're doing, even if they mean well. And even if some of them do, the rest of them don't. So I just think it's that crapshoot thing. I'm not comfortable with it. Sorry, I'm not comfortable with it. I think it's wrong. And so that's my answer to that. I think they got lucky. And I wonder if that woman stayed on the jury, whether it would have been a hung jury. And would that have been okay too? And then we'd have to do the whole thing over again. Oh, Lord, And now, one thing I also wonder, will the defense use it that the judge tossed her off the jury? Will they try to say that she was going to find him not guilty, and therefore the judge was in cahoots with the prosecution and tossed her off the jury? Might be grounds for appeal. Let's wait and see if that nonsense happens. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Now, the next one I want to talk about is just a really short one because, hold on, where'd it go? Nation. Oh, here it is. I found it. It's those boxes. You can't read them because you only have a piece of the information on. Okay, this guy is a Georgia businessman. All right. The headline is this: no foul play suspected in the death of Georgia businessman whose body was found wrapped in a rug. Let's find out what happened to him. Okay, he lived in Walton County and he went to Baton Rouge for a business trip. All right. His wife said he went to a college basketball game and then to a pub, but never made it from the pub back to the hotel. They found his body wrapped in plastic and rolled up in a rug, and around 6 miles from where he was last seen. According to the police, they say there were no gunshot wounds or signs of blunt force trauma, but no signs of foul play, even though he's wrapped in plastic and in a rug. What? Okay. Is it possible that he wasn't murdered? Possibly, but he would have to be with someone, and he would have to have been in their location, like in their apartment or something. He would have had to OD on drugs or had a heart attack, and somebody panicked and thought they needed to get rid of his body. So they wrapped him up in plastic. I'm not sure what plastic they're talking about. Hefty bags, saran wrap, and then rolled him in a rug and took him someplace and dumped him. I mean, he can't roll himself up in plastic and a rug and dump himself. I mean, that's a little extreme. I think he could have rolled himself up in a rug and suffocated, but the other two things cannot be happening. So it's so the police, this is an inappropriate thing to say, no sign of foul play at this point, when you're going to point out that he was also wrapped up in these items and dumped. You can say we haven't discovered a cause of death yet. Stick with that and don't say no foul play, because everybody went nuts on this. They're like, what are you talking about? It's just kind of a dumb thing to say under those circumstances. It's like, what? It was Houdini. Might have been Strega. Oh my goodness. Wrapped up like Dexter when he kills. Really? Okay. Lisa says, whoops, where'd you go, Lisa? Where is it? Oh, he must have been at the top of a 6-mile hill. Well, that might, this could be one of those, if you're going to write a mystery murder, yeah, you have this guy who's not murdered, and he decides he wants to see what it's like. He likes bondage or something. So he wraps himself in plastic and then rolls around in the rug, and then he goes down the hill and dies of suffocation. I think you nailed it. I think you solved the crime. But how bizarre is that? Oh, Martin, a lot to unravel there. You guys are terrible. I'm supposed to be a serious channel. I am serious. I'm serious about the information and the education, but I do like to have a bit of a smile here and there. All right, so now it's so weird. It's like, what in the world are they talking about? All right, so those are just my two little starters there. And now I'm going to get to something more serious. Just before I start that, we have apparently Julia has come to the United States, is hanging out with Fia Johansson, her psychic / private detective / publicist / what else is she? I forget, psychologist. And she wants to be a model. I'm going to say, Julia, you got a little work to do there. But they're out there in LA for some reason, which is a big fat mystery. And Fia's dropping all kinds of, oh my gosh, something's about to happen on her, Instagram thing, claiming that there's DNA tests being done, which I don't know why they're in the US for those anyway. Is she a US missing girl now? Maybe so. And then she says this is from Fia. We've officially filed a report with law enforcement, taking into account all the threats made online, documenting every account and individuals associated with disseminating threats and falsehood regarding Julia's case and status. I'm pretty sure the police could care less at this point, unless it's something real, but I'm pretty sure most of that's made up garbage too. Maybe there's a police report on me. Don't know. All right, now I'm going to be talking about copyright theft, but I want to talk about why these things happen. And in order to talk about that, I want to point out this case. It's a Canadian case, and I'm not doing this case to be political, so please don't go there in any of the comments. My point here is on people's responsibilities when you're dealing with people doing wrong things, okay? Now, let me pull up the story on that. Hold on a second. I've got to find my place here. Where did it go? Okay, here we are. All right, so Canadian School Board adopts a dress code policy amid a controversy on trans teacher with giant prosthetic breast. Okay. This is the teacher coming to class with those fake boobs and nipples, mind you, not just this is not a case of a trans person who has had surgery. This is not a trans person who has just wearing something that makes them feel more womanly, like at least not bigger than this, for God's sakes, and which is already too big for me because I ate too much. But this is not something that should be acceptable. Now, here's another view. This is ridiculous. And this, by the way, is the guy who's actually wearing those things, who tried to claim originally that they were real. All right. And this is why they finally are doing something about it, because they caught him walking around looking like that. So he's looking kind of like a dude there. So anyway, so now they're going to make a policy, finally. Now listen to how this goes. A Canadian school board adopted a professional policy after a transgender teacher, which I question is very transgender if people are seeing him walking around like that. I get maybe he's just transgender on certain days. All right. The Halton District Board published a policy that many parents demanded after photos of the teacher wearing bras, these big boobs, went viral last year. Now, mind you, this went viral in September. This person was teaching their children, and in September this went viral, and he's running around the class with these boobs on, right? And it took this long. It's March. Now he's on paid leave, still within the school system and no longer teaching, but now they have a dress code. All right. So the parents are really upset, obviously. But here's my thing. First of all, who hired this creep? Because this is not a matter of the way you feel about yourself. This is a matter of you're going in, you're teaching children, and you're going in there and presenting yourself in a way which you know is at an extreme. It's a fetish thing. It's fetish. So, I mean, if somebody else came in dressed in, the people that like to dress up as animals like dogs, a teacher should not be able to come in and dress like a dog because he feels like a dog. If he wants to do that at home, that's his business. But you can't walk in showing a fetish, and that's a fetish. Small boobs would have been okay. Huge Mongol boobs, that's a fetish. And you hired this person knowing this, put that person in the classroom. The parents got upset right away, and the person remained in the classroom. The principal did nothing. The school board did nothing. But you know what really drove me crazy? Apparently the parents didn't do anything either, because if that guy had been in my child's classroom, my child would have been out of that classroom ASAP and would not return to that classroom. And I would raise all kinds of hell. And every one of those parents should have pulled their children out of that classroom. But I don't see any evidence that they did. So this remained as is. The children had to put up with this for all this time with this crackpot, who I think exhibits some personality disorder. He gets a cheap thrill out of doing this. It's like a sensation-seeking type of creep. And it's a child abuse thing too. Why? Why did the parents not do anything? I mean, just all of them get together and just do something. So I want to explain something that happened to me when I was in high school. My father taught me that when I gave money to charity, I had the right to give my money to whatever charity I pleased, but he recommended highly that I always make sure that the charity I gave to was one deserving, that I checked it out to know that they weren't getting 85% of the money wasn't going to the overhead and to the salaries of people, and they all had houses in the Bahamas, and only 15% went to the people they were supposedly trying to help. And so I gave my money and my time to a group called the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind. I worked, I think it was 2 summers with the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind. They had blind children. They had blind deaf children. That's where I learned some of my beginning sign language to work with the blind deaf children. And I learned a little Braille, and I worked as a volunteer during the summer months. I respected that group because I saw what they did. I would give my money there. But one day in high school, teacher came out and said, "Oh, we're going to all support this charity." And I don't remember what charity it was. I don't know if it was a cancer charity or poor people, or I don't know what it was. "We're all going to support this charity. I want everybody to bring in $1." So what do you think started happening? The next day, people came in and gave their $1. And she had a list of our names and she checked it off. When you gave your $1, she checked off the dollars. One day she said, "Everybody has given their $1. And then she looked at me and said, "Except you, Pat. Why haven't you brought your $1 in?" And I stood up and I said, "Well, I haven't because I'm not going to. I don't like being bullied into giving money to charities. I already have given my money to a charity that I have already, that I like and approve of. And I'm not going to have people tell me what charity to give my money to. And I'm not going to be bullied into it because I'll look bad if I don't give my $1." And you know what happened? You know how the class responded? Not well. They all mocked me. They all went, she's just going to be like that. The teacher didn't like me. And for standing up for what I thought was right, it did not do me a lot of good. Did not make friends, did not become popular. And the teacher held it against me. That's why people don't like doing these things. That's why when you have a crime go down in the neighborhood, people are like, "I didn't see anything to do." Because they're afraid if they say anything, not only might they get retaliated by the actual criminal, but by the neighborhood too. The mother of the criminal, the brothers of the criminal, the people also committing crimes in the neighborhood, or just people who hey, you rat people out. So it's like you're living in a prison. I mean, maybe in a prison you can't rat people out, but my God, this is your neighborhood you're supposed to be protecting. This is your school you should be protecting. But people don't like to come forward because it often does not end well, And I learned my lesson in high school. So I'm going to go on to what sort of sent me over the edge just last night. Well, that's nice. Already at a young age, she kicked ass and got my ass kicked. So, it goes both ways. Well, see, Mary, I wish I could have stood up to bullying teachers. It's very difficult. And it's very difficult in a society that doesn't encourage that. And I think right now we're in a society that is so afraid of standing up at all Because if you stand up to say anything, you're immediately being mean. That's what, when I did the video on fake Maddie, I got a lot of hatred. How could you dare you say these horrible things? Because she's a con artist and she's scamming you. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's okay and it's true, when I know as a profiler she's not telling the truth. And now we have Fia coming along, and she is even a bigger scammer. And I did my video on that, and it came out, what is it, yesterday or the day before, something like that. And now I have to speak up again. And this is going to make me even more unpopular. And so on that note, I'm going to have tequila. And if you wonder what tequila I'm drinking, I'm not getting paid for this. This is a Tres Generaciones. Very, very good. I think it's from Mexico. It should be from Mexico. Yeah, it's from Jalisco, Mexico. So excellent. Hard to find too. But yes, okay. Getting ready. All right, a little more. By the way, if you can't drink your tequila straight, then you gotta put salt around and like chug it with lemons. You're drinking crap. You know, good tequila is sipping tequila. Just so you know. All right. What? Can't seem. Wait a minute. Can't seem to leave a comment. Where, Emily? I can see you here. And Benny's with Jack Daniels. All right. Oh my goodness. No, it doesn't. You're drinking crap, Sarah. You're drinking crap. You got to get the good stuff. I'm telling you. I learned that when I went to Mexico, because I kept watching these telenovelas, and all these cartel guys were drinking tequila in the morning, and the ladies were drinking tequila, and they were all sipping. I'm like, what the heck? Because I only knew college bar tequila, at midnight when you're all drunk anyway. And you chugged it and you all went. I went to Mexico. I found out why. Because you can drink the tequila down there. So anyway, here we go. No, it's not Aunt Deanie says soapbox time. Okay. Now, soapbox time. No, this is just, I have to speak up because it's wrong and it bugs me. And if I don't say anything, I feel like, again, I'm enabling criminal behavior. And I'll tell you what happened. So I learned from one of you guys that a particular channel, and I'm going to give the channel's name in a minute, had my video up there, and they were like praising me and saying, oh my God, it's so great. She's funny. She's this, she's that. Oh, it's just really cool. And I'm like, and people think that's neat. And I was like, okay, really? So I went to look at it. And I'm going to have a little chat about copyright theft, which is a crime. It's not just a civil crime. It's actually a crime. And people can be charged criminally. Very hard to do, mind you, but it can happen. Let me show you how this goes down. All right, so I got, let me go down here a second. Let me find it. All right, I want you to read what copyright is. Copyright violations are a type of intellectual property theft under federal law, using, copying, or distributing a copyrighted work without the owner's permission. Pay attention, without the owner's permission is a crime if it is done on purpose and for financial gain. Okay? It's somebody else's product. It is. It's their product. And you can't just take it and use it so you can get views, so you can make money off of every one of those views. And so what happens is there's no way to do this accidentally. Now, people do things sometimes at a very small piece. I made one violation mistake, and I didn't think about it because I'd done it was a documentary I had done, and I was in the documentary, and I showed this like clip. It was like, what, 30 seconds, 10, 20 seconds of what the question was that they asked and what happened. And then I got a copyright. It wasn't a strike. It was like a warning. And I cut it right out and took it out of the video. Because but I was in that one. I thought it was okay, but because it was a big, media source. It was not okay. Now, let me read you a little more. What is copyright? Now, there's a thing called fair use. And this gets really tricky. Fair use is when you use something in a small way for a specific purpose, and you're not just stealing the person's entire work. You're using maybe a bit here and a bit there. That's what I thought I was doing. But apparently, if you're a big company, fair use doesn't exist. But anyway, fair use, what is it? You're likely to qualify. You're less likely to qualify if your video merely copies. So if you just take somebody else's video and just chuck it on your channel, that's just outright theft. It's a copy. And then you're making money off the copy of theirs. You know what it's like? You have seen people do artwork and they have they have prints, and you have, this is print number 22 or whatever. Each one of those prints sells for something. What if you took one of their prints and just changed out the number in the bottom and then sold them yourself? You could still say they were that. They were not saying that you drew that, or you were the artist, but you're saying, I'm selling this artist's work, and this artist is getting no money from it. You're getting the money from it, and it's not yours to sell. So you can't do that. You're trying to monetize. Well, if you make money off of somebody else's material, yes, that's wrong. You're using fictional copyrighted material. I'm not even sure what that really means. Maybe movie stuff. You borrowed a large amount of material. This is the point about fair use too. Maybe 30 seconds to a minute, maybe even more, maybe couple minutes. If you're going to comment on those couple minutes and it's not taking their whole stuff, it's just part of what you're going to be commenting on. I'm going to show you how that works, because I actually have a video just came out yesterday that did that. The main focus is the copyrighted material. The main focus. So if the whole thing is about the copyrighted material, then you're stealing. And you harm the copyright owner's ability to profit. You betcha. When they steal your stuff, especially on YouTube, what happens is, if you put something out and the next day they put something out that's basically your video all over again, it comes up higher in the recent uploads. So then people see that first and they go to the other person's video and not yours. And so every time they watch that person's video, that person makes money and you lose money. So that's like a highway that divided. And suddenly it used to go straight and you used to get all that money, and then they divide it, and now you only get this money because they stole this much of your money. That's illegal. All right. And lastly, this woman says, and really is no duration that's automatically protected under fair use. So you got to be really careful, because it depends how much is under. Okay. So I want to show you this. All right. These are 4 videos. My video is at the bottom. That is the original video I did on Fia Johansson as a scammer. Above it is a video put out by Down the Rabbit Hole News. Wow, Madeleine McCann, profiling with Pat Brown exposes Fia Johansson, lies about blah, blah, blah. And there you see me in that picture. That's the one that came out right after I did mine. Okay, so as a matter of fact, I think it came out 2 hours after I put mine up. Or maybe it was a little bit longer, because you had to do something to it. And then the one above it is, I'm in that one, Jim Smith versus Pat Brown, criminal profiler. And he reviews a few different clips of my profiling, something on Madeleine McCann, something on Murdoch, something on Nicola Bully. I think it's 3 of them. I didn't watch the whole thing. And he comments on it. I'll get to him in a second. And then the top one just came out today, and it's another one that basically uses my entire video. And you'll see the Down the Rabbit Hole is actually a very, well, you can't see it there, fairly popular channel. She's already got 1,500 views there. The guy who has the reaction tape above it is I think not well known. He is not doing that great, and neither is the one above. Okay. Now, look at the Down the Rabbit Hole, the rabbit lady. I put the video up. She writes me at 2 a.m. Rabbit the blogger. Commentary on recent Fia Johansson video. Hello, Ms. Brown. Thank you for your recent upload. I would love to provide commentary to your Fia Johansson video. Of course, under fair use and providing commentary. Are you okay with this? I found another interesting video about Fia where she speaks to her parents. Thank you, Rabbit. She's asking me for permission. I never returned that. That was in the morning. I didn't even see it till later. I did not return any permission. I never responded. But she went right ahead and put my video up. And she says, of course, under fair use and providing commentary. She doesn't care if I'm okay with it because she put it up anyway. Now, let's take a look at how she puts it up. Here she is. Okay. At the top, it says fair use commentary provided. She believes that as long as she makes comments, it's fair use. She includes the majority of my video, the majority of it. She occasionally stops and she sometimes comments over. Occasionally she stops. She inserts one small video of her own, but basically it's my video. That's called theft, rabbit. And so I want to point out, let me point out a couple other things on this. So she also, here is her description. Wow, Madeline McCann profiling with Pat Brown exposes. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Shout out and credit too at profiling with Pat Brown. And keep in mind, she's giving me credit, all right, for something she stole, mind you. Pat Brown is a criminal profiler well known around the world. All commentary under fair use, which it is not. Now, if you go back down to the end of it, you will see a tiny thing. It says video. It shows a little YouTube-y thing. And then it says, is Fia Johansson. That's the link to my video. She doesn't even say, Pat Brown's original video is here. Here is the link. I didn't even see it. It's so small. And anyway, who's going to go watch my video after hers? Because it was my video. You've already seen most of my video. Why are you going to start all over again? Right? So the traffic that would have gone to my video goes to her video based almost all on my video. That's called theft. 100% criminal act. And she even asked me for permission and didn't get it and still went ahead. So now here's something she does that Fia does. And I want to point this out because this is very important. Fia Johansson, if you ever watch any of her videos, she's super sweet. She smiles, she's nice, she wants the best in your life. Oh my God, I just want all women to be successful. I want everybody, anybody, women or men, to have, to reach their goals, blah, blah, blah. And then when she talks about people who are being mean to Julia, she goes, those people are they shouldn't be mean to Julia, but they should, blah, blah, blah. She's always very nice sounding. It's a trick, folks. It's a trick. Because when you come across as sweet and give all this flattery, it's very hard to then say negative things about the person. So Rabbit here, who I do not know what her real name is, I looked and couldn't find it. Rabbit here, she flatters me. She flatters me during the video. She flatters me before the video. She flatters me in the description. But she's a thief flattering the person she stole the crap from. Somebody steals my artwork out of my house and says, oh my God, I just love Pat Brown's artwork. I have it hanging all over my house. Doesn't make it okay. So I don't fall for flattery because I know what you did. You stole my stuff and you're making money off of my stuff. And you're also taking traffic away from my channel, which is an educational channel, which also needs to survive, but you're stealing the traffic. All of that is illegal. It is a crime. You are a thief. Now, I know a lot of people like her channel. That's okay. They have a right to like her channel. However, when I looked, here's what I noticed. This one, now she stole from Fia too. And this whole thing, it is a long video with Fia and Julia. And this one's even worse than mine in the sense that there's almost no commentary on this. Basically, she just downloaded somebody else's video, threw it on her channel, and see what it's got? 11,000 views. 11,000 people have watched that video and not Fia's original, although I don't feel sorry for Fia, but still, even if she's criminal herself, she doesn't deserve criminal behavior against her. If you take her video and just throw it on your channel and 11,000 people watch it, you don't do any work, but you make all that money from that 11,000 people that come to your channel. The other person's work. I worked hard on that Fia video. I did a lot of research. I researched and researched and researched. I was exhausted. Then I did the video and then it's stolen. And she, of course, is not the only one. The other one that stole it is the woman up top. And she's only got like 200. She doesn't have she's a very tiny channel, but she also just stole it. I think she's more dumb Sorry, woman. But you took something, maybe you don't even realize you're not allowed to do that. You just, you're new on this whole thing. Maybe you just weren't thinking. But guess what? I have filed copyright strikes against both of you to take down my video, which is mine. Both of you get copyright strikes. 3 strikes on YouTube and you're out. You don't get to keep your channel. And for going to the rabbit hole lady, Rabbit, I don't know why more people haven't done this to you already, because you've stolen their stuff. And I'm hoping I'm number 3 to take down your channel, because I don't like thieves. If I'm not number 3, it's a warning to you. Stop doing that. Stop stealing people's work. Stop it. And the other lady who probably maybe doesn't know any better, it's your warning too. Don't do it again. Okay. Now, before you think I'm totally unreasonable, let's take a look at this guy, Jim Smith versus Pat Brown. As you see, versus is always a sign that he probably doesn't like me. And here, oh, that's not it. Hold on a second. Let me find the one. Where's the one? Where's the one with him? Hold on a second. Do not tell me I've lost the one with him, because it's, I love the, hold on. Oh, here it is. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. All right, here he is, and he's got my commentary there. This is on the Madeleine McCann case. You see a look? You see that look he gives me? All right. He puts about 3 different parts, 3 different videos from 3 different cases. He doesn't take one of my videos and put it through the whole channel. Just download my video and throw it on there, and then make a few comments here and there and claim it's okay. He is doing a whole video during which he lists a piece of my thing, and then he is commenting on all my thinking. And there's 3 different pieces. Is that fair use? I could fight it, especially since the guy hates me. He hates me. He says I'm not a profiler. I suck at what I do. I'm just a gossip channel. I'm wrong about Madeleine McCann. They should take me down for what I've said about the McCanns. I mean, he's vicious against me on everything I said. I think twice he went on the part I watched, and then the rest of it, he's like, and so he has this horrible commentary on me that I'm a terrible person. Okay. He has an opinion, and he's allowed to have an opinion. But I didn't do a copyright strike against him, because I'm like, okay, you didn't steal my whole production. You picked out something from each one of these things to comment on, to say your differing opinion than Pat Brown, whether you think she's correct or she's not correct. I said that it's possible I could say it's not fair use, but I didn't have too much of a problem with it in spite of what he said about me, because I thought he's doing a kind of a discussion thing where he's just putting up a little bit of something and then tearing me up, So I did not put a copyright strike on him. But I'm wondering how many more times on this Fia video that I did that people are going to take my whole hour video and just chuck it on their channel. And they say when you're talking about algorithms and YouTube and people finding things, they find that first. They'll watch me someplace else. They don't come to this channel and support this channel. And it's just theft. That's all it is. It's straight up theft. So I just have, and now I've come out and said all this. And guess what? I'm pretty much expecting to be kicked in the butt for this one. I suspect people say, why don't you focus on your own channel? Why do you have to worry about what other people are doing? So she liked your stuff and she put it on her channel and she was so praising of you. Why would you try to take her down? Why would you throw a copyright strike? Because she's a thief and she's stealing from not only me, but from others. So this is not a first time. And she asked my permission, didn't get it, and went ahead anyway. I don't respect a person like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand up, and I wish more people on YouTube would stand up for people stealing their stuff. And elsewhere, people steal your art. People steal your books. I've had my books downloaded onto those free sites, and I'm like, so when that happens, people go there, and maybe 2,000 people read my book from a theft site. Well, that's 2,000 books I don't get a royalty on, and that's my livelihood. I wrote the book, sometimes spending a year of hard work on it. And I only get 15% anyway. And now I don't even get 15% of 2,000 books. And if each one of those books normally sells for $10, let's look at it. That would be, let's see if I can figure it out. Okay, 1,000 books. Let's say there's 1,000 books out there, $10 a piece. Let's just go with that. That's $10,000. If I'm getting 15%, it's $1,500. It's still $1,500 they stole from me. and from the publisher. So, it's not okay. Theft is not okay. And just because somebody didn't walk into your house and steal it, intellectual theft is still theft. So I'm sorry, I will stand up, and I don't care what the backlash is, because somebody's got to say something, or these people keep doing it over and over again because everybody's scared. Oh, if I say anything bad, some of her subscribers are my subscribers, and they're just going to dump me now. And now she might tell her subscribers Pat Brown is a horrible person. And then, I'm going to have to, it's going to be all nasty. Maybe so. But if somebody steals from me, somebody walked into my house and stole a whole bunch of crap out of my house, I would report that to the police. Somebody comes onto my YouTube channel and steals my crap, I'm going to report that too. Like it, don't like it, that's going to be your opinion. But hey, if you want to use my stuff at fair use, do what the guy who hates me did. At least there I went, all right, small clips, just a few small clips. It wasn't the majority of a show, a few small clips, and then he just destroyed me, or he thinks he did, and then people can watch that and decide whether he's right or I'm right. That's okay. I'm okay with it. But you can't just grab my whole video and run off with it and make money off of it. Not okay. All right. So that's my comment on that. And before I go on to the Matamoros Mexican killing here, let's see. I have to go back to this. Sally says, I had to give up tequila because it made me mad, and I would call everyone who ever wronged me and let them have it. This is the weirdest thing. My daughter also says she won't drink tequila because she becomes mean. And I've never seen that to be true with me. I think tequila is pleasing, and okay, I do keep it low. This is just one tequila. I'm not sitting here having 10 of them. So maybe I will get mean with 10. I don't know, but I have never noticed that to be an issue. So, but I notice people do say that. Let's see. Let's go down here. Before I get on to, I'm trying not to get on the case of the Canadian case. I'm trying to stay away from politics there. My point is that this was not politics. The point was that we got a person with a severe personality disorder who's abusing and manipulating people, and nobody will stand up because they're afraid to look bad. Well, no, this is interesting. It's infuriating. People can re-upload your video and make it look like theirs and get money. That's true, but they're not even making it look like their video. They're admitting it's my video. They gave me credit. And even the teeny weeny little link that she put in there. But that's still stealing. You just because you say, oh yeah, my new TV, well, I stole it from Pat Brown. She's a great lady. Doesn't make it not theft. So unless you have my permission or you actually do properly use fair use and you're very careful about it, you just can't take somebody's video and make money off of it. It's just very annoying. So let's see. I will complain to YouTube. No, I did. I already filed it's called a copyright takedown. They're reviewing it now. Unless they stab me in the back, that video should be taken down. Both of those videos that I filed against should be taken down because they are my videos, and they can see when they check it. They check how much of the video is yours. So if they check the guy who doesn't like me, they might find 10% of his video is about me. In other words, he used those 3 clips or whatever he used. But if they compare these 2 women's videos against mine, they're going to find 70%, 80%, 100% of the video is my video. That's outright theft. And they will then take the video down, and they will give them a copyright strike. 3 copyright strikes, and you can lose your whole channel. People get very paranoid about that because if you do something accidentally and think, oh my God, now I'm going to lose my channel. It's pretty freaky, especially worked hard for it. But if you blatantly do that 3 times, I say you deserve to lose your channel. Don't do it anymore. Keep that rabbit down the hole. I hope what I'd like to see is her take down all the things she took from other people. She's got stuff on, which is her own. But rabbit, take down every video you have that you stole from somebody else without permission, and it is not fair use, even if you write it across the top. That's just a plain fat lie you write across the top. Don't talk bad about Fia if you do the same crooked things. That's what I can say. I wonder if she will post this video. She might. And depending on how long it is and who wants commentary back, I may or may not think it's fair use. So, well, I don't like taking people down. I don't, but I have a problem with psychopaths. I have a problem with liars. I have a problem with crooks. Matter of fact, that death row guy that I spoke about before, and if you don't, I'm not going to even explain it to you. He's now getting off death row and going to general population. Interesting enough, he says, "Oh, the judges reviewed it. I'm getting into general population now," and all the people over at the channel over there are going, "Oh my God, that's so wonderful! I just love you. I love you. I'm so glad they're finally giving you a break." And I'm like, "This is a big fat lie." It is Newsom. Governor Newsom is simply shutting down death row, and they're moving everybody from death row to regular general populations to save money because it's been 17 years. I haven't killed anybody there in California. Death row was meant where you put the most evil of people there for like a year, and then you executed them. But if you're going to leave them there for 2 decades, it's a lot of money. So they're just throwing them back into general pop now. So he's not getting off of death row because they checked his case and thought he was a great guy. No, he's just going to general population with everybody else. So he's lying about that. Or he's not lying. He's cleverly saying it in a way that people fall for it because the guy's a psychopath and a liar and should not be given a platform. But there you go. All right. That is often true. These same people will be upset if you steal their stuff. That is very true. Give me your bike. I like it. Thanks. Oh, so true. So true. Oh, you had it done. Oh, really? They uploaded your work product and presented it as their own. That's even worse. I mean, at least I got credit for the product. And of course my face was in it. So it's kind of hard to say it's not Pat Brown, but yeah, you can just steal somebody's entire product and just throw it on your own, especially if their face isn't in it, and just claim it and just make it look like you, let's see. Benny says, someone once stole my identity, but returned it because they didn't like it at all. That's great. Oh my God. That's great. Sarah says, more importantly, you're doing what's morally right. Oh, ethically, I don't know if I go with morally, but ethically, I just, there's those borderline things we could say the person didn't know, and and so on and so forth. And they're just, it's questionable because there is that little gray line there. But when the gray line isn't there and somebody's just acting criminally, in my opinion, we should speak up. But it doesn't end up being nice for a lot of people to speak up. And that's why I understand why people don't do it, because it usually doesn't turn out well. It doesn't. And when you do it, you kind of have to assume that you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, but you're not going to necessarily, you're going to lose something in the process, which is just really unfortunate. I laugh and dance on bar tops at tequila. Oh, maybe I'll invite you out, Striker. You could be fun. Let's see. There's a good statement. Psychopaths are going to psycho, so no one should listen to them. That's great. Lord. Okay. Let me see. Okay. I want to get off of this topic because it makes me so mad. So I'm going to go to Matamoros, Mexico. And what's so interesting about this is that I'm in Mexico. I love Mexico. So I want to first have people understand what's really happening in Mexico, because everybody's like, oh, wow, we hate Mexico. 4 people. These 4 people, they were from South Carolina. They went to Mexico, and I'm going to discuss the reasoning for the trip and some of the interesting issues over there. They went to Mexico. They crossed the border at, I think it was Brownsville, going into Matamoros. Okay, that is a cartel area. It's one of those rough cartel areas. So anyway, they drove this vehicle, and I'm going to talk about the vehicle in a bit too. They drove this van, this SUV, and all of a sudden, somebody smashed into it. Then guys came out with guns. They were shooting. They were dragged out of that vehicle into a back of a pickup truck. They were taken away, and it took a while for the police to find them. And when they found them, it turned out that the two on the left were alive, and the two on the right were dead. So 2 of the 4 got murdered. Okay. Now, a lot of people are going, oh my God, it's totally unsafe in Mexico. Don't go to Mexico. I've been to Mexico, I think it's 5 times now, 6, somewhere around there. And I've been to so many different cities in Mexico. I've taken buses in Mexico. I've driven cars in Mexico. I've walked and taken the subway in Mexico City. I mean, I've had a great time. Never felt threatened once. However, I always follow the rules. Stay with women and children. In other words, wherever you go, be sure it's not down some dark alley. Be sure you're not going to a bar with a bunch of dudes in there, and that's all that's there. Know the area. And if you're in a cartel area, you just it's going to be a little bit unsafe, and be sure. And you got to always know who you're with, because you could go stay with a family and they could be cartel, and then they have an argument with another cartel, and the cartel's family house gets shot up, and you're sitting in it because you visited it, and you end up dead. That happens, and it happens in the U.S. And this is why I want to point out, I have a friend, from way back when, and I hadn't seen her in 20 years, and she's like, "Oh yeah, come on, we haven't seen each other. I want you to come over." And I'm like, "Well, let's meet at a restaurant." And why did I say that? Because I don't trust who's in her house. I don't want to go over there and find out that she's some drug dealing or something going on, because I don't really know what she's into these days, and I don't want to get shot. I don't want to be there when that shit goes down. So I'll meet you at a restaurant. So when I travel in Mexico, I've had a wonderful time. I've never felt threatened. The people are super friendly. The culture is great. Mexico City is one of the best cities in the world. The architecture there is fantastic. Food's great. I mean, got nothing nice. I would move to Mexico. But there are towns in Mexico I would move to. Quite frankly, I won't go to Baltimore either. I don't want to move there because I'm scared to go to Baltimore, and it's only 30 minutes from my house. Last time I went, luckily my daughter was armed because she has a federal permit on it. So, so when we're driving out and she says, we're in the car that they're going to carjack, the gun was on the front seat. We had a great time, and we went to a show. It was wonderful. We saw Hamilton. It was fantastic. But that city makes me nervous. And certain areas of that city I definitely don't want to be in. And that's true throughout the United States. So even if you live in a not so great city, you can at least stay in the healthier places that aren't likely to be shot up, except by some cuckoo psycho person. But if you start hanging out where the drug dealers are, you deal drugs, you get into prostitution, you just go to slimy clubs in a bad part of town, and stuff goes down and you're there, you end up dead. So these people go down to a cartel area. Now, people have crossed into Matamoros before for many kind of procedures. A lot of dental stuff is done in Mexico, especially near the border, so that Americans can just jump over the border, and Canadians too, can just come down. And what you usually do is you fly into a border town, whether it be in Arizona, California, or Texas. You fly to the border town, and they will send you a car, or they'll have a van in that border town, picks up the people that are going to go. And then they bring them across the border to the clinic, the dentist or the doctor, and then people get whatever work done is done. If you're getting like dental work done, they'll bring you across the border, you get the dental work done, they take you back across the border to your hotel, and you stay there for 4 days until whatever is done in your mouth, and then they bring you back to finish up the job. That's how it works. My son has gone down to Mexico I sent him down to, it was actually Cancun. I flew him down to Cancun. He got the work done there, which he couldn't afford here. It was like he didn't have insurance. It was like 4 times as expensive here. Sent him down to Cancun. My sister flies into Texas. She goes across the border with her husband. So yeah, a lot of people do it. So what happened to these people? So you have these four people. They're very good friends. Been friends since, I guess, the early years. They take this vehicle. They cross into Mexico. Supposedly, the woman called her mom and said they were 50 minutes from a clinic that she was going to. And then the mom didn't hear from her again. And then this whole thing, it's on tape. You can actually see the video of it, but I'm not putting it up here because I don't want copyright infringement. And I also don't want to show you something like that, on my channel. So it's a brutal scene where they got shot and they were dragging people into the vehicle, the truck, and taking them away. So there's a lot of suspicion going around on the net right now. And this is what I want to address, because there are people saying, I'm not buying their story. Supposedly, according to authorities, they got caught up. First story was they got up in crossfire between two cartel gangs, and they just happened to be in the middle, get killed, shot. But they were kidnapped too. And that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. The second story was that they were mistaken for Haitians, drug dealing Haitians. And I'm looking at these people and going, well, they don't look like Haitians to me, but okay. Maybe Mexicans don't know the difference between an American and a Haitian, but okay. Look, they don't look Haitian to me. But hey, that's just me. They were mistaken for this Haitian drug gang, so they kidnapped them for that reason. They were in their territory. That's more probable than the crossfire thing, which didn't appear to happen. It was also stated originally that they came down there to buy medicine. And then later on, that changed that story, that the woman came down to get a tummy tuck. Okay, now here is where people start getting suspicious. Now, first of all, I want to say that it may be absolutely true that the woman came down for a tummy tuck and her 3 friends drove her down, and they're totally innocent victims. Let me say it right up front, because I do not know that's what happened. And it's just one of those freak things. Maybe they should have made better choices as to going there, but maybe it's just a freak thing that happened. And we shouldn't have any suspicions. But mostly what people just say is, something just doesn't seem right about this story. All right, so I started looking into it. And I have to say, there's a few things that just make you go, It does. And so I'm going to point them out, and I'm going to say, well, we'll find out. I don't know if we'll ever find out the truth about this incident. I'm not saying that they were guilty of anything, but there are some things that make you wonder. All right, so she goes down for a tummy tuck, and some people say, well, why the hell did she get the tummy tuck in South Carolina? All right, the tummy tuck, I think it's about $3,000 in Mexico and maybe $6,000 in South Carolina. If you don't have insurance, you're paying twice as much. But when you're going to pay twice as much, you want to make sure that, you have to add in your expenses to getting to Mexico. Okay. So it's not like it's just $3,000. It's $3,000 in getting to Mexico, getting back from Mexico, and all the other stuff. So then does your $3,000 become $4,000 or $5,000? And then is it worth going down there when you can just get it done next door? So that's a question. So then I want to take a look at the woman. Okay, this is the woman. She's about 33 years old. She's had about 6 children. She has had 6 children. And that's one of her pictures. Does she need a tummy tuck? She needs a diet. And this is actually when she's thinner. I think I'm not sure she was heavier at this point at Matamoros or not, but she's pretty heavy. And she has a lot of stomach. This is called an obese tummy tuck. I believe obese tummy tucks cost more than regular tummy tucks, and they're a little bit harder to do because you've got that much more you got to work with, right? Now let me tell you what's interesting about the tummy tuck thing here. You don't just go to Mexico and get your tummy tuck at 1 p.m. and are out by 4. No, you're not. You get that tummy tuck, you have to stay at that location. I think it's like a few days. And then, like in the clinic or the hospital, you got to stay there because you got tubes and all kinds of crap coming out of you. And then you have to stay in town for another 4 days or so, even more, to make sure everything's okay. And you have to go back and have things removed. So she would have to be in Mexico for at least 7 days to get a tummy tuck, which is interesting to me because 3 people drive her to Mexico. 3 people who don't seem to need to work for an entire week. That's kind of odd to me. All 3 don't need to work, and neither does she. Now, I don't know. She is, I'll get to that in a minute. I don't know where she's getting her money from. I don't know where these guys are getting money from, but 3 guys are willing to drive her all the way to Mexico. and stay there for a week. Interesting. And pay all that. Now you talk about what are they paying for? All right, this is the car. It's not their car. It's a rental car from North Carolina. A rental car. So now not only do you have 4 people not working for a week, you got a car you have to rent, and that's not the cheapest thing to rent down and go down there. And a lot of times you're not even legally allowed to go into Mexico, but if that company does allow that, you have to buy insurance and all that stuff. And I'm going to say, if you don't have your own vehicle, you probably don't have insurance anyway, so you probably have to pay rental insurance. You rental for the car, rental insurance, and then when you get to the border, you have to pay for Mexican insurance. That's even if you're allowed to cross the border, and maybe they just did it illegally as far as the rental car goes. That's a lot of money. So who's paying for that? Is she paying for that too? She's paying for the tummy tuck, and she's going to pay for the vehicle and the insurance. And now it's getting closer to maybe you should stay home and do it. And why these people have no work for an entire week? What the heck's up with that? And one of the guys, by the way, says to his wife, that is the second guy that survived, second from the left. Apparently, he just tells her, he didn't tell her where he was going. He just says he's going to go help a friend. That was it. He's going to help a friend, but he's going to get in a vehicle, drive 1,500 miles, mind you, 1,500 miles. That's a 20-hour ride. He's going to help a friend by driving her 1,500 miles to Mexico, stay for a week, but his wife doesn't know where he's going. That's a little strange, don't you think? One of the other guys said he didn't think he told his sister I think sister, mom, somebody, that he thought he was feeling uncomfortable about going there, like it was dangerous. Well, was it because it's dangerous just to go into Mexico, or was it because something else was going to happen? Now let's take a look at. Remember the woman wants a tummy tuck, and this is her husband. And check this out. This is her husband. Her name is Latavia, I think. His name is Tamario. They got married in 2021. This is their little wedding thing. That's 2 years ago. I don't know who those 6 children belong to. I don't know if they're all his or there's somebody else's. But anyway, she got married 2 years ago. Do you know where he is now? Good old Tamario. He's in prison for 10 years because he got nailed for drug dealing, methamphetamine. 10 years. And it's not his first offense. So one of these people was married to a drug dealer. Now, I tried to find out. They do have some open records in South Carolina, so I tried to find out if these guys had any drug issues. There, I think I found a couple, just marijuana possession charges, and somebody has a lot of domestic issues. There was a whole line of them. But she was married to a drug dealer. So now we got 4 people wanting to go all the way to Mexico, drive 20 hours, rent on a rental vehicle to get a tummy tuck, which you have to stay for a whole week. Now, it's possible she's not really getting a tummy tuck. She could have said that to her mom. She's actually getting a liposuction. Liposuction. That it's a 1-day procedure. So they could have gone in there but that's a hell of a long way to go for liposuction. You know what I mean? And that's cheaper than a tummy tuck. So why not just stay home instead of having to rent the car? And then one asks, the mom actually said the second time she's gone to Mexico for this. I'm like, didn't work the first time. And it's $600 round trip from Lake City, South Carolina to the border. 600 round trip. Why doesn't she just take the plane? If she wants a girlfriend to go with her, fine, that's $1,200. That sounds cheaper already and easier than doing the rental car. So they cross the border, and for some reason, they're targeted immediately or fairly immediately. Why? Because generally speaking, you can get caught in crossfire. That's true, although I've never had that happen in Mexico. You can also get kidnapped in Mexico for money. And somebody said, well, maybe they were kidnapping them because they were Haitians. I'm like, that's not your big money there. Your Haitian immigrants aren't like exactly rich. So no, you kidnap businessmen, American businessmen, Mexican businessmen, and then you hold them hostage for a lot of money. These guys are not people you kidnap for. That crew do not look like people you kidnap for money. Nor do they really look Haitian. Nor do they really get caught in crossfire because they're kidnapped. Something's funny about the story. Now, I'm not saying they did anything. I'm not saying they went to Mexico for any other purposes than she was getting a tummy tuck. But I just want to point out there are reasons why people are skeptical. And most people are only skeptical over the tummy tuck thing. They're like, I don't think she's getting a tummy tuck. She needs more done than that. And most was just negative commentary on her obesity. But I looked into the rest of it, and things are just odd. And, I don't know if, maybe this, I say again, absolutely true. That's what they went for. But the story doesn't sit right with me, and it's pretty weird. So I'm just leaving it at that. But that's why people sometimes get suspicious. And when people say, why, Pat, would you think this? Well, and why would other people think these things? Well, it's because there are red flags. Red flags don't necessarily mean there's any crime or people were doing anything bad. Red flags don't mean that something happened differently. Red flags are simply things that are odd enough that you take a second look. And this is what a detective would do and what a profiler would do. They take that second look because they're like, maybe we should check that out because something doesn't seem right. I just don't know 3 guys who really want to drive some woman all the way down to the border and sit with her for a week while she gets her tummy tucked. I mean, if those guys did that for her, damn, she's got good friends, really good friends. Oh my goodness. That is true too. They kidnap Mexicans if those Mexicans have relatives in the U.S. That is true. Sometimes you can really, you can say, we've got your loved one. Send us money. Yes, that's true. It's odd, but so is every episode of Cops. Yeah. Well, she actually, they show her being put into the vehicle. So they were able to get her in the vehicle. She could walk, thank God. So she's in the vehicle. Let's see. Oh, that's that. Okay. You can get arrested for money. I think you're talking about some crooked cops down in Mexico might, try to get, stop you and try to get money off of you. That's true because that actually happened to my ex-husband when he was with my kids. That did happen. It can happen. It didn't happen to me when I was driving around. So yeah, I was fortunate. But I generally speaking, what have the Mexican officials said? It's hard to say. Well, what they said so far was they think it was a mistaken identity with Haitians. And I don't know whether they're saying anything makes any sense. And one of the things I want to point out is we get all bent out of shape when 4 people, these people got attacked. But let me tell you, there are people coming from all over the world who have been attacked in America and murdered. Tourists. So don't think that tourists don't get killed in the U.S. too. They do. So Mexico's not. I mean, really, we rarely hear about Mexico. Let me say it right. We rarely hear about American tourists being killed in Mexico. Very rare. And the fact that we do hear once in a while is quite incredible considering the massive amount of tourists that we have go down there. So I don't look at the country and say it's a highly dangerous country in most places for people to go to. I think, people are saying, oh, nobody should ever set foot in Mexico. I just think that's highly exaggerated. I just think don't do stupid stuff. Don't buy drugs. Don't get drunk in some barrio that you don't know the people and you hanging out in an alleyway someplace. Don't do that. And generally speaking, unless you get just caught in crossfire, and stay out of certain territories. Just don't go there. And if you're not there, generally speaking, you're fine. I think that people shouldn't completely trash Mexico over that. Let's see. Yeah, VLW says, I've only seen the headlines about this kidnapping murder thing. Now with all details, it does seem off. I'm curious to see whether we'll ever learn anything more. I don't know. Because if there's no proof of certain things, the Americans may not want to admit it, and the Mexicans might not want to admit it either. So it's hard to say. But I think we need to do something. I mean, something needs to be done about the cartels. There's no question. Cartels are the problem we're having is that we're not stopping the cartels, and the cartels are moving in all over the United States, and they are in operation. And that's where the real danger is. And, yes, it's bad that they're in Mexico, but it's also bad that we let them into our own country. And if we're not going to stop it, no, we're fools too. Mexicans don't even want to go to Mexico. Only certain Mexicans. And it depends where you live. Mexicans I know love Mexico. I know people El Salvador, and they're like, "Hey, we love Salvador. We go there." And people, oh, yeah. You always hear that crap. And there's people who say that, it's too dangerous to come to the U.S. too. I mean, we hear this all the time. And most of the time, if you do the right things, you don't get in trouble. But there's always things that can happen. I mean, all you do is meet the one freak. And a lot of times it isn't because it's just the freaky psychopath that does you, not necessarily any group or all of that. But, especially for a female alone traveling, and just, it's a risk no matter what country you're in at all. So, all right. So let's see. I want to talk one more thing. This is coming in from Benny. Got me started on this. And this is going to be mostly my last thing today. There are 4 nurses here. I think it's interesting because there's something about each one of these nurses, which is what we keep ignoring, that females are serial killers too, but they choose different methodologies than men. And interesting, one of the major methodologies is caretaking of old people or elderly people and infants. Those are the 2 ends of it. They're the easiest ones to knock off and get away with it. So I'm going to start with the one Benny sent me. I'm going to read. It was all in Danish. So I actually have an app. I want to show you this one thing, though. It's just really cool. I've got this app. It's called Google Translate, and you put your camera on, and then you just hold it in front of whatever language it is. You have to put it on that language. You hold it in front of the page, like on a book or on an internet page, and it just translates right into English in front of your eyes. It's amazing. It's really cool. So I did start doing that, but I just got lazy, and I'm going to go with what Benny sent me. So we got, okay. So the first woman this is the one he was talking about in his, okay, let me find it here. Let me find his article, which is he nicely gave it to me in English. So let me find it. Okay. Where'd it go? Okay. Is this it? Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. One more. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. No, that's not it. Dang it. Hold on a sec. Where'd it go? Oh, it's in here. Okay. No, it's not. Why is it doing this to me? Okay, I'm going to have to put Benny's name in here to find it. Because it's in my mail, but my mail sometimes does this double up thing where they hide things. And it's very annoying. Darn, what the heck? This is really weird. Hold on a second. Oh, patience. Okay. Oh, here we go. I found it. The iPhone kind of screws us up. So anyway, this is the woman. All right. Okay. She is Suzanne Christensen. She's 60 years old. She breaks down sobbing because she got 16 years prison time. What did she do? She's worked at a place called the Tearsdalen, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, so that Benny can laugh at me, Care Center, and she poisoned at least 4 residents with life-threatening medicine last year, and one of them died from the poisoning. She pled not guilty. They said that they originally accused her, I think it's interesting, of killing an 81-year-old who, like the 3 other patients, was admitted to the hospital on 27 February last year. Okay, so now what happened is they took away the murder charge, and now they call it serious violence resulting in death. So the theory here is that she did give them the poison, but she didn't know it would kill them. She just gave it to them. So they took the murder charge off serious violence. I'm sorry, you have serious violence on an 81-year-old that you're poisoning? You murdered him. mean, I can't believe that they came up with that lesser conclusion. Is that like stabbing somebody 50 times and saying you didn't realize they were going to die? You just like stabbing? Okay. So let's see. The defendant, as the contact person for the victims and as their regular evening watch at the care homes and homes for the elderly, respectively, had a thorough knowledge of the frail health of the people in question. Well, yeah, she's caring for very elderly people who are very fragile. She knows anything she does to them can kill them. However, so she gave this stuff to them, and the medicine was so dangerous that they could die from it. However, she must have realized they could become seriously ill from it, you think? But she was therefore acquitted of murder and instead convicted of 3 counts of aggravated assault and aggravated assault resulting in death. So what happened is in the days before they were discharged, they were admitted again with poisoning, one even twice. So I think it's poisoned them on the way out, and then they had to come back. So anyway, she did get nailed for it. But now, one of the interesting things is that, let's see, what did the defense say? They said, this is what the defense said. No one had seen her give the 4 residents the dangerous medicine, nor is there any technical evidence in the case, such as surveillance. So the defense said there was no proof that she gave this medicine to them. However, she searched online a particular name of a medicine and a number of other types of medicine at a time when no one knew what the residents had been poisoned by. So in other words, they've been poisoned, and she looked up those things online that happened to match. She was also in the area when then the stuff went down. During the searches of the woman's home, stolen medicine from the care center was found, which was the same medicine as the residents were given. But it's not her, right? And she was the only one who was at work and saw all the residents the evening before all these admissions. So she got 16 years, and Benny points out that that's as much as she can get in Denmark, no matter what. She killed 4 people, or she killed one and almost killed the others. Is that how it works? Serial killer. She is a serial killer. And like many female serial killers, they have they use medical methodologies to kill in care situations, and they can kill all the old people or the very young people. And the sad thing is, there's often a lot of evidence leading to the suspicions about the person, but because it's not a physically violent act, there's always that question: did they really do that, or am I imagining things, or maybe it was just coincidental? So when we take a look at, for example, a Lucy Letby over there in the UK, let me find Lucy Letby here. Okay, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. When she's on trial right now. But when she was working, the doctors were pressured not to make a fuss over Lucy Letby, you see. So what happens a lot of time in hospitals is they don't want the hospital to get a bad name. So they try to ignore certain things, not make a big deal of them, or just get rid of the person and not tell the next hospital that they suspected that she was killing off their patients. And which is why they can go to different hospitals and commit crimes. So this guy said, Dr. Ravi Jayaram, he said his team first raised concerns about unusual episodes involving babies in 2015. And she's been accused of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 10 others. He said that he notified the senior director in 2015, but nothing was done. He told the court the matter was raised again in 2016. Now, what happened then? Pretty much nothing. She was not removed from the frontline nursing until summer of 2016. So they let her just stay there. In spite of their suspicions, they allowed her to stay there with innocent babies, people's children, and say, well, we're not sure, so we'll just let her stay until more of them die. That's nice. Now, this is a place that's supposed to be into healthcare, protecting our children and our elderly from physical harm. and from health, anything that would harm their health. And this is what they do because they're more interested in a thing called money than they are in healthcare. And that is pretty horrifying. So that's how come she stayed there. Now, I want to talk about a couple others which are interesting as well. Let's see, which one is this one? This one is Jennifer Ann Hall. Now, Jennifer Ann Hall was a respiratory therapist. Let me find her. All right. A couple interesting things about her. All right. In the 5 months that Jennifer Hall was a respiratory therapist at the Hedrick Medical Center in rural Missouri, the hospital experienced 18 code blue incidents. And normally there was only one a year. What was it? Only one a year. Now it's 18 in 5 months. They launched an investigation and they found that one of these guys died of a particular medicine that paralyzes the respiratory muscles. And also, she also used morphine. Now, her attorney said she didn't have access to these kind of drugs and she's just a scapegoat, right? So, but let's see what else we have here. I want to go back here a second. Of course, she was there when all these people die. See, this is one of the things. Now, let me go to the other article on her. Not that one. Hold on. This other article. This one I found kind of amusing. And this is how it works. So, she was placed on administrative leave as a respiratory therapist after the death of a pneumonia patient, Fern Franco, in 2002. They found that there was all these poisons in her. And again, they were talking about all these other ones that while she was on duty, that's what all these people were poisoned. But what's also interesting is that she had actually been charged with arson at another location and was on a parole. She was awaiting trial when she was hired by this place. I'm like, okay, she's clearly got issues and she's clearly dangerous. But again, especially with females, is something like this. Oh, it can be. So now we have 3 women who are killing people in places of employment. And let me go to the last one here. This is this one. This one is, okay, her name is Christina Astrup Hansen. And this is also a Danish nurse, which Benny led me to. All right. She was sentenced to 4 murders and attempted murder. All right. What happened? She gave her sick and weakened patients morphine, lethal doses of morphine and diazepam. Okay. Let's see. So anyway, she got convicted finally of 3 murders, but was instead found guilty of attempted manslaughter in 4 cases. Trying to figure that one out. All right. They changed her punishment from life to 12 years in prison. The reason for the change was, in particular, a forensic and evidence-specific detail. They said that her medical abuse on the patients did not occur in treatment or pain relievers by mistake. The technical evidence was not strong enough to confirm the verdict. Again, this is the same thing that the other one. Was the other one in Denmark? Same one? Yeah. The Legal Service Council reviewed the medical information and concluded it was not possible to be fully sure that the morphine and diazepam injections were the direct causes of death. So she poisoned these people with an overdose of dangerous meds. And because they couldn't prove it was the final thing that killed them or prove that she knew they were going to die, now she's a little slap on the wrist and she's going to go home. Now, they did do a psychological evaluation. They said that she suffered from histrionic personality disorder, what I call Munchausen syndrome by way of psychopathy. A person suffering from this disorder, and it's not a disorder, it's a behavior of psychopathy, is capable of going to extreme lengths for positive attention. All of the people we've been talking about recently that kill their children for attention, that pretend they were kidnapped for attention, all of this. All this and violent self-absorption, which includes narcissism, often makes the person conduct acts toward others so they can be the center of attention. They think that is the personality disorder. Oh, at least say that, personality disorder. is one of the main motives behind the killing. No, the main motive behind the killing. That's not a motive. The personality disorder isn't a motive. The motive is to gain attention, to get a thrill. She gets a cheap thrill, as every serial killer does, out of the attention, out of the manipulation, out of getting away with it, because you're also damn fools. You don't realize what I'm doing. So she'll be out pretty soon. Now, what do you notice is the problem with all these four together? Women are serial killers. And this is one aspect of that. So you go to a hospital where you think you're going to be safe, and what you've got is if somebody's sitting there poisoning you through, you got either somebody's pulling out your line, or they're putting poison in your line, or they're murdering babies, they're murdering the elderly people because they can fight back less. Sometimes you get like anesthesiologists. Those tend to be male, and they tend to like kill people during the anesthesiology thing. So there's another serial killer methodology, which is one of the times you see male nurses are usually anesthetists, which is weird. But women tend to work in these situations. Nursing homes on the midnight shift is very popular. And now we have, which is interesting, we have the woman who killed her 3 children up in Massachusetts. She also was a neonatal nurse. And I'd look back to make sure none of those babies died under her watch either. No. Although she supposedly just went psychotic and killed her 3 kids, and she's always been wonderful up until then, I question that. And I question a lot of these nurses, if you met these people, you would think they were all wonderful until you realize that they killed 4 or 5 patients, or maybe 20. Because they seem sweet. Again, what is the greatest weapon women have in manipulation? Being sweet, flattering, being sympathetic, little Bambis. So you can't accuse them of things. And if they do, they cry. Don't be so mean. That's a weapon that women use. Men use force, women use manipulation. Call me a sexist. Now let's see what we got over here. All right. Alexandra says, we had 4 nurses in Austria who killed 32 people, proven ones. So 1983 to 1989, they did 19 years. That's what they got, 19 years. Wow. Women get way less than men. Female serial killers often get way less than male serial killers. And one reason I think is because most of the victims die a quieter death. And male serial homicides are often pretty violent, including, rape and torture. So it's look at that and you just hate them immediately. You look at these women and they get sympathy. You're like, I don't know. Did they really do that? Or what was wrong with them that they would do such a thing? Yeah. It's also a weapon to bully people who are sweet. Sweet upon sweet is, I'm not sure I understand that. They also were released earlier. They were released earlier for good behavior because there was nobody to kill. That's usually the way it works. I mean, a lot of serial killers are not the dangerous guys in prison. They're usually, because most of them are like pretty wimpy. They're not like gangbangers and cartel dudes. They're the guys that want to sneak around the night and find somebody, a child or a woman or a small guy to murder. They're not going after the big guys, That isn't how it works, because serial killers want to win. They want to get their ego stroked. They're not going to take a chance. And when they end up in prison, they usually just befriend the guards because they need protection from the other guys. Oh, thank you very much. I love Pat's take on Munchausen. She's demystified it. I've had people accuse me of still using the term Munchausen's because now it's not the popular term. I don't care. I like it. and to me, it just works. It's less fancy than the other ones that just try to make all the psychological terms that you just get lost in. And then it sounds like, the disorder starts to be very, people start looking into the psychology of the brain and they get all lost in that and don't realize it's just a methodology of a psychopath. That's what it is. So all these fancy terms kind of mess it all up. Let's see. Make sure you get the big X on your leg. Oh, is that right? CJ says, I remember back in the day it was argued that women couldn't be serial killers. Yeah, and people still really don't buy it. Just like they don't buy that women can be family annihilators unless they're psychotic. they do not, I mean, there can be a psychotic family annihilator or a woman who kills her children, but there's a lot of female psychopaths who kill their children just like the men do it because they're tired of the little buzzards. Children are a lot of work. They are. They're a lot of work, and they can be exhausting, and they cry and they whine and they're just you better love those suckers because they're a lot of work. And if you lack the ability to love, if you're a psychopathic, you don't have that love. What you have is a desire for attention. So you might put up with that baby as long as it's getting you that attention. But the minute it doesn't get you attention, it's annoying. And my favorite story on that is a woman I worked with in the hospital, and she had her baby, and she was definitely a psychopath. And she was Munchausen's by proxy and Munchausen's. And she was in the room with her. I was interpreting for her, and she was in the bed with the baby. And the nurse was in there showing her how to nurse. She goes, "Oh, do I do it this way? I'm gonna hold the baby like this?" And the nurse was like, "Oh, she's." And then the nurse looked at me as she walked out of the room and said, "Oh, she's trying so hard to nurse the baby." As soon as that woman walked out of the room, that nurse left. She took that baby and she goes, "I'm sick of this." And she just chucked it in the crib like that. She was getting attention, but as soon as that nurse wasn't there, it was just a lot of work. Yeah. She had quite a number of children, and most were taken away, and one she managed to get. So long story. I wonder whatever happened to her. But she used to act so sweet. She always looked like a beautiful deer with these beautiful deer eyes, but she wasn't sweet. She wasn't sweet. She was a manipulative little creature. Oh my goodness. They smell too. I say you gotta love your children, and that's one of the reasons it's helpful to have a family and a community, because children can be exhausting. So you need the support. And one thing I say is wrong in America is that too many women are left alone with children, are left alone with babies, where in other countries you would have people around you. And so when you start losing it, you just go, "Here, take that kid." And you have people to keep company, keeps your mind going. But, in this country, a lot of times, a woman will, quit her job to stay home with the baby, and hubby goes off to work, and she just sits there by her lonesome with a screaming little child. It's not easy. So I do feel sympathy for that. But no, I don't think he's a family annihilator. I think that he is a situational killer, which is different. It's more a case of I'm trying to think of another situational killer. A situational killer, he's not just killing off his whole family because he's tired of them. He's killing people because they're becoming a problem that he needs to fix. I think of Drew Peterson, the cop who killed. Well, he was convicted of killing one of his wives. The other one disappeared and never been found. He killed them when they became a problem to him. Not just he was bored with them and all that. Wanted a new life. They caused him a problem that he had to solve. That's a situational killer. Now, he did kill more than one, but that doesn't make him a serial killer, because that's not the purpose of his murders. But someone who gets up and wipes them all out in one shot, because, well, sometimes I would say this. Sometimes a family annihilator can be situational in the sense of, let's say a girl wants to be with her boyfriend, parents say no. So she annihilates her family, but at the same hand, it is sort of situational. Doesn't mean she, So yeah, I would say there can be a crossover, but I'd say he leans more toward situational than just wiping them out just for the amusement of it and to move on, get himself a girlfriend or something. Yes. Oh, yeah. Sometimes what they'll do, Alexandra, is they'll know she killed all 9, but they'll only convict for one because that's the one they can absolutely prove. And as long as she goes to prison for the rest of her life, then they're like, whatever. So a lot of people get less charges because also it's more work to follow through with all those charges, because then you got to prove each one of them. So sometimes they'll just go, let's just go with the best one. That's good enough, So yeah, So anyway, that's it about the lady serial killers, which again, say definitely they're serial killers. Just one last thing, I'm going to mention this, and then we're going to wrap it up because I'm going to be making a great Italian meal tonight. I'm having a virtual dinner with a friend of mine who is 3 hours away. He's making the same food as I'm making, and then we're going to sit down. And we're both going to have our Italian dinners and have our glasses of wine as if he's sitting in front of me. It's kind of a neat date. Anyway, let me do the last one just because I think it's funny. This is Pablo Escobar. If you know who Pablo Escobar is, he is the big drug cartel guy, big drug guy in Colombia, and they're having this problem because he liked animals. So where'd it go? Hold on a second. Hold on one second. Come on now. It's done it to me again. I'm gonna have to put it in here. I'm gonna put in. It went away. Hold a minute. Okay. So, anyways, when he had all this, he was like rich as crap, right? So he liked animals. He got hippos, and they called them cocaine hippos because that's how he afforded the hippos. Well, what happened was, so here's one of the this is actually one of his hippos, and that's in the Magdalena River. And so here he is. There's a nice, cute little hippo, and that's one of his. And what happened was they actually did really well in Colombia. So now there's 70 of the hippos, and they don't know what to do about all the hippos because they're fairly dangerous animals, and they're rapidly growing, and they don't know what to do with them. So they're actually trying to move them. So they're they actually have 130 now in Colombia. They're an invasive species, and they don't know what do you do with them. So they decided they'd kill them off. It was 2009, but everybody said no, you can't kill the hippos, and so they saved the hippos. And now they're trying to deport the hippos to India and Mexico. So now we're going to have hippo immigrants to Mexico, and the idea is that they can take care of them there. But the amount of money it costs to move the hippos is ridiculous, especially if they put them on an airplane. And I mean, I don't know if this one had the cost, but it was. Oh, this one doesn't have the cost. It was outrageous to move the hippos. But and by the way, if you ever want to see a great movie, not a great movie, this is a great series. It's called Pablo Escobar, El Patron del Mal. And the guy up in the left corner who plays him nails him perfectly. I mean, it is so incredible. Don't watch Narcos. It doesn't hold a candle to this one. Again, it's El Patron del Mal, Pablo Escobar, El Patron del Mal, and you can see it on Netflix, and it is fabulous. And it's like you're really there watching things going on with the politics and the media and everything that Pablo Escobar did, and he's just so amazing. The guy who plays him, I mean, you swear to God you're looking at the real guy. Phenomenal. So that's one of the. If you're going to watch a cartel movie, pick that one. It's really, really good. So any last thoughts? How do you? Oh, whoops! Sorry, that was somebody laughing. Ali. Pat, how do we request a case for you to review? Well, what you do is you just send me a message what case you're interested in, and I'm trying to put them all I try to copy them all down and look into them. And sometimes people say, well, I asked you 6 months ago now, and you never did it. Feel free to tell me again. And what happens is, there's only so many I can do. And so when I'm researching, suddenly one will pop out as, okay, this one is a really good one, because I have to have profiling stuff to do with it. There's a lot of cases. If you go to some of the shows YouTube shows that just do the story, and some of them I don't have a problem with, they do a really good job of telling the story, and showing the different photos, from different aspects of the story, and they'll do a whole program on that, and they do a really good job. I even go to those sometimes just to get a background and so I can see the pictures. But they can tell a story without having to analyze it. But for me, since I'm doing an educational channel and profiling, I'm not telling the story. I might tell a bit of the story from Wikipedia, usually, just enough of the story so you understand, and then I go into the analysis. So there has to be something to work with. This week on Saturday, I'll be doing Ray Rivera. He's the guy that went to the Belvedere in Baltimore and ended up dead there in a very, very strange case that people still argue about what actually happened to him. And it's just kind of a fascinating case. So that will be this Saturday, and that's been requested quite often. Sometimes I'll get like the request like from 5 different people, and that always helps. And more people want that one, I'll do it. Other times you'll see a case that'll come up and nobody requested it, but I ran into it and I thought it was so interesting. I just wanted to do it. So I'm hopefully, now that the 2nd anniversary has gone by, I hopefully will continue to be on here for years, and it will eventually get to your case. If I don't do it next week, maybe it'll be, some months down the way. So, yeah. So, yes. So definitely do that. Well, thank you very much, Antini. Sometimes you're just not in the same area. I also do my other favorite thing to do is get on the treadmill and have the other person on their treadmill. And then we put on a virtual walk in front of us and we walk through some city. So with my friend the other day, we actually went to Kiev. We walked through Kiev and then we walked through Moscow. And it was really bizarre because when we're walking through Kiev, you feel like you're walking down the streets of Kiev. We're seeing the cafes and we're chatting about what we're seeing. And you're walking because the guy's got the camera and he's like you're walking with him. And so you feel like you're walking. And so we're walking exactly the same. We see the same things because we're both walking. And we had this great time. And when you're finished, you think you've been in Kiev. You think you've been in Moscow. But you haven't left your room, And he's far away. So we can't get together to take a walk. So we just walk at the same place, but in another country. It's awesome. So yeah, we're trying to find some unique ways to have a get together. And so virtual dining is one of them. And, he does his dishes and I do mine. So it works out nicely. So, but the SC4, oh, that's an interesting, the South Carolina Force. They sound like a gang now. But I'm thinking that's what you're talking about. Or are you? Not sure. Oh, my goodness. So Thomas Brown, I have not heard of that at all. I don't know who that is. See, I don't know a lot of these cases. And then I learn about them eventually. So how do you hold your virtual date's hand? Well, not so well, but, we had a good laugh last time because we finished our dinner and we both went to bed, but not with each other, but we were both in bed. So it's a fun thing to do. So you can do that with, I've also walked with my sister. You can do cooking together. You can buy the same ingredients and sit in your kitchen and actually cook at the same time and look at each other cooking. And, it's just nice ways for people who are more isolated or just can't get together with somebody that enjoy getting together with. There's just kind of fun things you can do at the same time, So there's something good about the internet. It just does help. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Don't forget to get the books. They'll be coming out for you guys who are here right now live. What are we at here? They'll be out in about 9 hours. So that'll be 3 a.m. On the 9th. And for you guys who are showing up tomorrow, when you see this go live, you can just go get the books and enjoy them. And thank you again, guys, for supporting the channel. When I started, I really didn't have a lot of hope and I didn't know how it would even work out. And over time, I've enjoyed it more and more. And I love my patrons here. You make it terribly fun. And, it's another, I'm having a date with you guys right now. So I'm having a good time. So anyway, I will see you on Saturday if you're here now for the Ray Rivera case. And for everybody else, don't forget, do like and subscribe and keep the channel going and try not to hate me too much in the comments below today. And I'll see you soon. Bye.